Hello everybody and welcome to The United Stand. Very interactive show for you this morning. You can get involved in our poll, Grealish or Maddison. We'll be talking about Koulibaly and a few other stories, but let's start off with something that actually is quite a big thing in relation to Fred's comments. We touched on it on last night. I hadn't read the full article, I've read it now. And I would say that Fred Slam Solskjaer is a pretty accurate interpretation of this. We're dealing with a player that's popular, that's playing well. If this was the words of Paul Pogba, it would be worldwide news. It would be huge. So why should it be treated any different because it's not Pogba saying it or Martial saying it or somebody that the agendas float around, some would say. Fred has come out with rather damning words that I think, that there's nowhere to hide with what he said. He's basically said that we have got lots of problems. We lack unity. There's a lack of, we're lacking a lot right now. We lack creativity in the midfield and we lack sticking together. We lack a sticking together mentality, and also that some players have got different objectives. Vanity is an issue. We need to start focusing on the pitch. Some players want to solve problems alone. That is wrong. I mean, I would have been like, we've got a lot of problems. That's quite a big statement. But to go through lack of creativity in the midfield, lack of leadership, vain players who want to do it on their own and don't be part of a team. I mean, this lack of unity, this is exactly what you have been saying, but this has been coming from arguably our best player over the last 2 or 3 months. Bar Rashford and Wan-Bissaka has been good all season. Fred, to me, would be in the top 3 contenders for Player of the Year. And with Rashford now set to miss the rest of the season, I think Fred is probably the most likely person to compete with Wan-Bissaka for Player of the Year. Some people are saying, well, he's showing leadership qualities here, he's showing captain qualities here. I don't think Manchester United are going to be very happy with what he said there. In fact, I know they won't be happy with this. I touched on it last night. David De Gea came out as captain after the Crystal Palace game and said, that's not good enough. He was stripped of the captaincy. That's the sort of ego dictatorship you've got at Manchester United in the higher echelons of the corridors of power at Old Trafford. They do not like players coming out and speaking like that. United used to have a history of this. Roy Keane was brilliant at it, and I actually think it's a way of engaging with your support. I think it's a way of motivating your squad when a player who is respected comes out and says, we are not good enough. It's a message to the club, it's a message to the fans, it's a message to the players that we're all on the same page. And I think with Manchester United, they are at such pains because of the money that's involved now to make out that everything's fine. That Manchester United basically would take you outside in your budgie smugglers in a snowstorm and pretend it's a hot day you can get a tan. You're freezing your nuts off quite literally. Don't worry, it's boiling. Oh, shall I get us another cold Sprite from the fridge? No, I'm dying of hypothermia. Whatever, get a bit of sun cream on. That's the sort of thing that Manchester United want to do because they want to appear as this big club so that the money can keep rolling in. So I'm interested to see what happens about Fred. I don't think he'll be dropped because we need him, but a lot of people last night, social media, were saying, well, that's Fred finished at United, he'll definitely get dropped now. But they won't like what he's come out with. I guarantee he will be pulled into the office by somebody and said, don't ever do that again. But I tell you what, isn't it just great that it has actually got through before they've been able to censor it? Because it absolutely nails to the line what many of you have been saying, what I have said, and what a lot of other people have been saying, that Manchester United Football Club is a bloody mess. And that is one of our best players at the moment, absolutely verifying publicly that what we know is true. There is no leadership, there is no creativity from the midfield, there is vanity in the team, there are people doing it for themselves, and that there's a lot of problems to solve at that club and that people aren't sticking together. That, to me, won't get the publicity it deserves because it's Fred saying it and it isn't Pogba or Rashford or Martial or somebody that's high profile, but he is one of our most important players at the moment, and he is saying that. No creativity, no leadership, selfish players. It absolutely, like I said, this is, to me, it's brilliant, but I think there will be some fallout from it, and hopefully, if I was United and I was United players, I'd use that as an inspiration. I actually think it will be used against Fred because that's what happened with De Gea, and I hope we don't see that again. But for anyone who says, well, he's not saying anything about a Solskjaer. Well, who's the manager of Manchester United? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Fred has just come out and said we lack creativity, we lack unity, we lack togetherness, there is vanity in the dressing room. Who's not responsible for that if it's not the manager? If the manager can't control those things, vanity, lack of togetherness, creativity, he's not doing his job. If David Silva comes out tomorrow and says we're rubbish, we're not creating anything, nobody's together, and there are big heads in the dressing room who are just egotistical, that reflects badly on Pep. The same if bloody Salah comes out and says it at Liverpool. That reflects badly on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It also reflects badly on the players, because he's talking about players' ability, he's talking about vanity in the dressing room. That's talking about players, which I'll come back to in a minute. And of course, it's talking badly about Woodward and co, because they are basically inflicting this squad and this environment, whether it's the choice of the manager or whatever. So I think that Fred thing, look, what will happen of it? It'll probably get brushed under the carpet. He might even come out and say I was misquoted. I don't know how that manages, but because there's so much in there. But that, to me, is massively damning. And for anybody out there who is, fans are so negative at the moment, that statement from Fred is about as negative as I've read this season. And of course, fans are going to start, sometimes they swear, sometimes they get very angry. But ultimately, what Fred said there is as bad as anything anybody's said this season. Okay, some people might have got a bit hot under the collar about it. They might have gone in on a few players individually. They might have swore, like I said. But ultimately, what Fred said is basically what everybody's been saying this season. When it comes to vanity, who is he talking about? Look, again, I think agendas will go, he's clearly talking about Martial. He's clearly talking about Pogba. What if he's talking about Marcus Rashford? Marcus Rashford does a lot of stuff in the media now. He's been linked with Raiola. What if he's talking about Lingard? What if he's talking about Harry Maguire? What if he's talking about Dan James? What I'm saying with that is, let's not jump to conclusions, which I guarantee the mainstream media will, and ex-players will as well, because it suits whatever agenda they've got. I don't know who the players are. I don't necessarily think it is Pogba or Martial, to be honest with you. I suspect it might be two others from what I've heard, but I'm not going to put that out there because I don't think it helps the situation. But I don't think it's Pogba and Martial. I think it's two other players, and it will upset people if I say who it is. But I'm not going to do that because one, I'm not 100% sure, but two, I've heard it from a few people because you do hear these things. However, I don't think it's important. I think what's important is, yet again, more noise around the players that we've got, the squad that we've got, and the total lack of unity. That team needs somebody to grab hold of that dressing room. And who it will be, I don't know. But this has been going on for too long, way too long. Could Kalidou Koulibaly, we'll get your comments in about that, by the way. Could Kalidou Koulibaly be that player to come in and sort Manchester United out? Well, this is something that's been rumbling on for about 6 weeks now. It happened around the middle of January, and it's happened again that United are at the front of the queue to get Koulibaly for about 65 million pounds. I'm just going to say straight away, I did a rap about Koulibaly in the summer. I'm a big fan of Koulibaly, but I think there's too many crosses against this because we've already got Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Twan Sebi, Phil Jones as centre-backs, and we're going to go and sign another centre-back. Doesn't make much sense to me. We know we haven't got a lot of money, and we're going to go and spend £75 million of a budget that might only be £100 million on another centre-back. Koulibaly is going to be 29 in the summer. I just don't see this. I can see Koulibaly going to Liverpool. I can see him going to Man City because maybe they need a centre-back, or Chelsea. But I can't see us having the money to do this. I think this was a deal to do last summer instead of Harry Maguire. We didn't do it. We went with Harry Maguire. I can't see Harry Maguire and Koulibaly working. I can see Koulibaly and Twan Sebi working. I can see Harry Maguire and Twan Sebi working, but I can't see Koulibaly and Harry Maguire working. To me, it was one or the other. We went with Harry Maguire. I just don't see this happening, but there is a lot of noise about it. A lot of noise, especially out of Italy. Now, you can take that with a pinch of salt, of course you can, but I don't see Manchester United signing Koulibaly. I really don't. And I like Koulibaly. I think he's a good player. He's a leader. He's strong. He's quick. He's good at tackling. And I think United probably need somebody like that. But I just don't... If you're buying Koulibaly for 75 million... You've got to be buying a midfielder, a right winger, a striker. And I just don't see United have got that type of money. I really don't. I just don't. And it's interesting about our centre-backs, though. I was thinking about this today. I don't know, how would you rank our centre-backs? Because based on this season, I think there is a debate to have between Harry Maguire and Chris Smalling. But after Harry Maguire, Chris Smalling's our best centre-back and we loaned him out. And I know it's not fashionable to say that, but Chris Smalling, I said it before he went to Roma, Chris Smalling's a player that at Manchester United has always been very consistent. He's always come in and done a job for us. Is he a top four centre-back? No. But I was saying this last year and the year before. Chris Smalling, to me, is the best backup centre-back in the Premier League. If you get an injury to your first choice, Smalling comes in and he always does a job. This season, he's been our best centre-back and we've not even got him at the club, which is interesting, isn't it? So for me, I'd say our best centre-backs this season are Harry Maguire, Chris Smalling, Victor Lindelof, Twansibi, and then Jones. I mean, Jones has been awful. Twansibi's been injured. Lindelof, mixed bag. You could say Smalling's been better than Harry Maguire. In fact, you probably should. But, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, I think the loaning of Chris Smalling was a mistake. I do. I think it was. I think Smalling would have been a decent player for us this season. But, I've always been a fan of Smalling as a backup centre-back. Grealish or Maddison? There is talk that Jack Grealish is preparing himself to leave Aston Villa. We could get him for as little or as much, depends how you look at it, as 60 million, maybe less if Villa get relegated. There's talk that Jack Grealish is even looking at houses in the Manchester area. He's a big fan of Manchester United, although he's a Villa fan. He did say quite recently that Old Trafford's his favourite ground in the Premier League. It's interesting with Grealish. I've even put the poll. Click the eye in the top right-hand corner and cast your vote. Would you rather have Maddison or Grealish? Because I think a lot of people are starting to shift towards Grealish. For me, I still prefer Maddison, but I actually, as a business sense, which I never really should look at, but from a look, if we've got 200 million as our transfer budget, do I want us to blow the lot on Maddison and Sancho, which is going to be about 200 million? No. Would I like to see us get Sancho, Grealish and a striker? Yes. And I think that's a business decision. I doubt we've even got 200 million, but I do think we need a striker, a midfielder and a right winger as a priority in the summer. They're the three. We need a CDM. We're not going to get one. I mean, that's my priority, but we won't get one. But the better we spend our money, the more players we can buy. If we've got a budget of about 100, 200 million, whatever. Grealish will be cheaper than Maddison. And the difference in price, I don't think, is the difference in the players. As I've said before, Maddison 90 million, Grealish 60 million. There's not a £30 million difference between the two players. In fact, Grealish could achieve more at United than Maddison could. Or it could work the other way around, but there's not a £30 million gap. And as I said about Grealish, the fact that he's had to battle through his career more than Maddison has, because he's played in worse teams, he's played in relegation battles, he's got more leadership qualities. And I think at United at the moment, we definitely need those sort of qualities. But I still think I'd go Maddison. But it's up to you. It's up to you to vote on that one. Have a crack at that and see what you think. But look, very interesting comments about Fred. Get your comments in below about that. Koulibaly as well. Cast your vote on Grealish and Maddison and have your thoughts on that. We will be live at 8 o'clock tonight. Sunday Night Live. Absolutely love that show. So join me at 8 o'clock tonight for Sunday Night Live. Very quick update. Some big news. I think those Fred comments, very, very significant. Very significant. And sort of verifies you. Because for all your negativity, or as I call it, real talk, you've just had it verified by our Player of the Month. Manchester United lack creativity. They lack leadership. We lack unity. We've got vanity in the dressing room. There are major problems at Manchester United. That's coming from our Player of the Month. Not some fan, not some source, not I've been told this, pay me a bit of money. This is from our Player of the Month. It's verification for the fans. It's not nice verification. It just actually compounds the issues that Manchester United have. But that's from our Player of the Month. And the club will not be happy about that. I'm happy about it. Give him the captain's armband. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Get your comments in on Koulibaly. Cast your vote. And if you want to catch me this afternoon, Mark Goldbridge, That's Football, give it a subscribe. Episode 4 of the Manchester United Career Mode. It could be me getting the sack. The last stream was awful. I'll probably get sacked if I don't turn this around. But I will turn it round. Give me time. Give it time. The future vision is clear. We're on the right path. Fine margins. Speak to you all soon.